All right, let me talk to y'all for a second because what's happening this week with the Cowboys and Lions has layers. This isn't just another Thursday night football game. This is momentum versus desperation, health versus injuries, hype versus skepticism. And if you've been watching this Cowboys team closely, not the highlight reels, not the box score watchers, but really watching, then you know something's shifted, something real. And I'm going to break it all down. From the MVP conversation to roster decisions, Diggs returning, Detroit limping in, the trenches, the coaching, the players, the whole energy change. Everything. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook. Cowboys, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the America's team. Let me start with Dak Prescott and this MVP talk because it blows my mind how fast people flip. A few weeks ago, Dak wasn't even sniffing the top 10 on MVP lists. CBS had him at like 11, other outlets didn't even mention him, and folks were acting like he was washed. But all it takes is beating just two teams, but probably the best teams of NFL, the Eagles and the Chiefs, and boom, Dak's suddenly third in the odds behind Drake May and Matthew Stafford. That's how wild the league is. But for me, MVP isn't just about wins or just about stats. You need both. You can't put up 40 touchdowns on a team that wins 4 games and ask for a trophy. And you can't ride a stacked roster to 13 wins, throw in checkdowns all season, and claim you're the best player in football. I need real value. I need impact. I need someone who, when everything goes wrong, you still believe you can win because he's under center. And right now, Dak is playing like that guy. That's all that matters. Now, when we talk about MVPs, you almost forget how ridiculous this award used to be. Co-MVPs? That actually happened. A kicker winning MVP in the early 80s? Also happened. Lawrence Taylor being the last defensive guy to win it back in 86? Wild. The award has basically turned into a quarterback trophy now. Unless a defensive player puts together some superhero-level season, they're not even getting invited into the conversation. And honestly, with the way the Cowboys' defense looks right now, they have multiple guys playing with that level of dominance. Quinnen Williams, Osa Odigijua, Kenny Clark. This trio might be the most unfair interior rotation in the league right now. It's disgusting. It's abusive. And when Jerry Jones says he wants to keep all three, I laugh because, yeah, it's great to say that, but that's a lot of money to tie up in defensive cackles. But if there was ever a time to break the rules and pay the price for dominance, this is it. That interior pressure has transformed the entire defense. And speaking of the defense, let's talk about Trevon Diggs because this one always sparks a debate. Should Diggs instantly get his starting spot back the second he's healthy? For me, no, absolutely not. This has nothing to do with talent. Diggs is elite when he's locked in, no doubt about it. But the defense has rhythm right now. Bland is balling. The young guys are stepping up. Communication is on point. The D-line is cooking. Everything is in sync. So why on earth would I disrupt that? You ease Diggs in. Let him get hit. Let him get comfortable. Let him get his confidence back. Let him earn the full workload. And if he comes in and plays lights out, cool. Let him take over. But you don't mess with something that's already working. And actually, you don't need to. Your D-line is working absolutely fine. Just keep carrying it. Now, on the other side of the field, the Detroit Lions. Detroit is limping into this game like they've just survived a car crash. Half the roster is taped together. Amon-Ra St. Brown is dealing with an ankle. Brian Branch is banged up. Khalif Raymond's ankle isn't right. Their secondary is thin. Their offensive line is bruised. They're basically held together with athletic tape and hope. But I'm telling you right now, I am not sleeping on this team. Injuries don't erase talent. Injuries don't erase identity. And Detroit has one of the most dangerous backfields in football. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery complement each other perfectly. Montgomery hits you in the mouth. Gibbs runs past you before you even know what happened. If the Cowboys aren't disciplined with their gaps, if they don't tackle well early, Detroit can jump out to a 14-0 lead before the offense even gets going. And then there's Jared Goff. Look, I'm not expecting Goff to tuck the ball and run like Lamar Jackson, but if you give him time, he will slice you up. He's accurate, he's poised, he's smart. He knows how to find soft spots in his zone. But that's exactly why this Cowboys defensive line is the X factor. If the Cowboys get pressure, real pressure, Goff turns into a completely different quarterback.
He gets uncomfortable. He gets jumpy. He starts forcing throws. This whole game comes down to whether the Cowboys win the trenches. Speaking of trenches, I need to give some love to Nathan Thomas at left tackle. This dude stepped in and held his own. And who is he blocking? Only Aidan Hutchinson, one of the best young pass rushers in football. If Nate Thomas holds up, Dak gets a clean pocket, and when Dak gets a clean pocket, this offense cooks. It's that simple.
Now, offensively, let me say something that might shock people. George Pickens is the most impactful wide receiver on this team right now. And no, that's not slander towards CeeDee Lamb. Lamb is incredible. He's explosive, he's dependable, but Pickens is the one forcing defensive coordinators to adjust their entire game plan. When he's out there, you cannot single him up without consequences. And when you shade a safety his direction, suddenly Jake Ferguson is open, Lamb gets mismatches, and guys like Simi Fehoko start eating underneath. That's what a true WR1 does. He changes the geometry of the field even when he doesn't touch the ball. But the biggest part of this Cowboys turnaround, the part nobody seems to want to talk about, is the players. Not play calling, not the analytics department, not halftime adjustments. The actual players on the field change the direction of the season. The play calling has been, let's be honest, questionable all year. Weird fourth down attempts, strange red zone decisions, sequences where they overthink things. They could have easily thrown away 2 or 3 games, but the players pulled them out of the fire. The defense stepped up. The offense refused to fold. The team showed real resilience. And a huge part of all this is Quinnen Williams. The plays are great, sure, but it's the leadership that stands out. There was a moment this season where the Cowboys were dragging into halftime, things weren't clicking, and the coaches weren't the ones giving the passionate speech. Quinnen was. Quinnen got the defense together, raised the standard, set the energy. And when the defense sees that, when the offense hears that, it changes the entire vibe of the team. That's the type of leadership you cannot coach. That's the type of leadership championship teams have. I must praise Matt Eberflus. The defense looks completely different since he stepped into that expanded role. The blitzes are smarter, the adjustments are quicker, the alignments look more intentional. The swagger came back. The Cowboys have needed someone who understands both levels of the defense and knows how to simplify things for younger players without dumbing down the scheme. Matt Eberflus is that guy. But again, the players deserve the credit. They're the ones who flipped the season. They're the ones playing with purpose. They're the ones pushing through adversity. Now, back to Detroit, because I want to emphasize this. This game is not free. It is not guaranteed. It is not a walkover. Detroit is still dangerous. They still have a top 5 offensive line when healthy. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is one of the most reliable slot receivers in football when he's right. They still have Jameson Williams, one of the fastest deep threats in the league, and they still have a quarterback who's been to a Super Bowl. So if the Cowboys walk in sloppy, unfocused, or sloppy with tackling, they'll get smacked. But here's why I'm picking the Cowboys anyway. The Lions got carved up through the air by the Texans. They got beaten on the ground by the Eagles. They got bullied by the Packers. And every time Detroit gets punched first, they struggle to recover. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are healthier, hotter, better in the trenches, and playing with more confidence. You cannot convince me Detroit's beat-up secondary is stopping CeeDee, Pickens, Ferguson, and Brandon Cooks, especially with Dak in rhythm, especially with the Cowboys' defense playing their best football of the season. So, yeah, I'm calling it. Cowboys 30, Lions 21. The Cowboys are the healthier team, the hotter team, the more complete team. They're trending up at exactly the right time, but I also know Thursday Night Football has a personality disorder. Anything can happen. It's unpredictable. It's chaotic. It's the NFL's version of a fever dream. So the Cowboys cannot walk in there acting like they already won. They need to handle business. And that's where I'm at with it. The MVP talk, the defensive dominance, the Diggs decision, the Lions' injury situation, the Cowboys' improvements, the leadership shifts, the coaching impact, and ultimately the matchup that's coming. This game is going to tell us exactly who the Cowboys really are right now. A dangerous playoff team or a team still figuring itself out? We're about to find out on Thursday night. And trust me, I'll be watching every second of it.